Hello and welcome to an episode of Unscripted. Don't know what the fuck we're talking about, but that's not new. Before we get into it though, please go press the subscribe button and the like button and the weird bell and comment below once you've viewed the whole video and you think that we're fucking hilarious. All of that stuff, and don't forget that we have a web shop and blah 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 blah. Onwards and fuck you. Not you. Well, you too, for that matter.
I mean, I don't want to be left out.
Right, so today, I seriously don't know what we're talking about because Adam just put cameras up and goes, I can be
it's
filmed.
called Unscripted.
Fuck
for
you.
a reason. There is no script.
You be quiet, you. Unscripted does not mean unideaed, does it?
Well, you have Furquan. He's funny.
He
can
is.
talk funny
He's a
things.
human unicorn. So we're just gonna do that usual thing where we fucking wing it and we talk about shit.
Yeah.
Why are we here? Why are you undergoing this grueling exercise of being poked 1,000,000 times in the arm by me and Mr. Matt Bone? Why? What made you decide attitude?
So
young
there
man?
was.
Why are you this irresponsible?
So there I was doing drugs, just like every normal person, doing crimes like every normal person, and I was like, I'm missing something.
In the back alleys of Pakistan, or
Back alleys of Pakistan,
Cool.
and in America, and in Australia, and in Japan. I've lived many places over my life. Okay, so the serious answer is like, I heard it or I read it somewhere a long time ago that every house of worship is adorned by its worshipper in many different ways.
Yes.
Be it a church, be it a temple, etc. And everyone says your body is a temple or treat it as a temple, and we don't adorn our bodies. So that's how I started my journey on looking at tattoos and basically how to express yourself through tattoos. And yeah, then I found you on interwebs, and I fell in love with your style right away. But it took me almost 8 years before I actually got into a point where I was like, right, I need to go get tattooed. So that's how I ended up here. Um, Pain is optional. Wasn't planning for it, but here we are.
Yeah, I don't think the exercise of getting tattooed should come without pain. So yeah, here we are.
It is a rite of
You're stuck with
passage.
it.
I've met many people who actually would want to numb the areas where they are getting worked at, but that's, in my opinion, takes away from the experience
I agree.
because the ritual of tattooing has been around for thousands of years, and there's a reason that it has lasted this long, even though there's pain and all that. So we should honor that.
I agree. I mean, it is a valuable thing. Actually, did we do? I think we did a TikTok video about it recently, when, like, talking about why do employers look down on people who get tattooed? Why would you not hire people who has massive tattoos? It doesn't make any sense to bypass these people because they're clearly people that has a hell of a lot of dedication and the ability to go through a lot of grueling shit to get to their target. So they should be the exact kind of people that you want to hire for your company because they've got some skills and qualities that are really, really valuable in any type of human. Unless they're really shit tattoos, because then they just don't have taste. And you need taste in any workplace.
I feel that that's where the train went off the rails, aka the bad tattoos. Like over the last century, tattoos were done by people who had more of a certain reputation, or the tattoos were done so badly that it wasn't attractive enough for anyone to put you in front of customers or client, and that created a whole rep around as that.
Imagine being on a tribal level, right? Being like, you're a Polynesian tattoo artist or a tribal tattoo artist somewhere in like Iron Age or Stone Age Europe or Bronze Age Europe, or Polynesian islands, and you're tattooing, but you're so bad at it that people will go like, nah, like I'm not giving you seashells. Well, I'm not being derogatory here. Seashells have been a method of trade, so I'm not just being an asshole. I will not give you seashells. I will not give you meat or fish for those fucking shitty tattoos. Because you should not be tattooing. And
Yeah.
then it went out the window with modern tattooing. It's actually very recent that bad tattooing became a thing.
That's very true.
And now it's a fucking fashion thing too.
I think that has kind of changed the whole trajectory of tattoos and brought it into light because it has become fashion, or people who wanted to rebel opted this particular form to show their rebellion, and as a byproduct we all get to have tattoos now, and our workplaces are not that strict about these things. Funny you mentioned about the Islanders. I was listening to the podcast Rest is History. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. And they were talking about how Julius Caesar came to the British shores for the first time, and how in his notes he associated the savages, as in the Britons of that time, to have tattoos, the blue tattoos,
The
all over
woad, yeah.
sorry, what's it?
Woad.
Woad. And like how they are outsiders, and that has been a theme throughout history where tattoos always have been the savage's mark, and if you have become civilized, you don't do that. And it will take us a bit more time to actually change.
But it's also in many cultures a mark of brotherhood. Even in most, I mean, Rome was the height of civilization of its time, and soldiers would tattoo themselves or get tattooed to show that they belonged to the Roman legionary army. But it tends to, on a sociological level, only be like amongst
The brotherhood.
yeah, brotherhoods like cults and societies where it becomes like a mark, a brand that you wear proudly to display who you are a part of. Same happened in the Middle Ages with the Crusaders that got tattoos when they went to Jerusalem and stuff like that.
What's the Christianity's stand on tattoos? Because I know that in Islam it's a no-no.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
in Islam it's a no-no because basically your body is a vessel. It is granted to you by Allah. You are borrowing this canvas, this creation, and you should return it in as perfect a condition as you can. You should worship your own body on behalf of, well, the true ownership of Allah. Christianity has no real edicts like that. But there has been a couple, I think there's 2 or 3 papal bulls, not the bovine kind, a papal bull, which is a writ from the papal office, from the Pope, stating that it is an act of paganry or pageantry.
Pageantry.
To be tattooed, it is to blemish your body in the eyes of God and blah blah blah. You shouldn't do it. I don't actually remember why he found issue with it. It might have been because at the time of the Crusade there were other cultures around in the Middle East that actually had tattoos. Some of the nomadic tribes and such. So the Pope might not have wanted his peoples associated with the more local pagan tribes. And then there's in Judaism, you cannot be buried with marks on your body, at least in some cults of Judaism. And their way of going about it is that now there's like a weird underhand agreement amongst it's called not coroners, morticians, like the Jewish morticians, that they'll just remove that skin.
That's not bad.
That skin goes into the incinerator. The rest of the body
Yep.
is still sacred and can be buried according to Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever his name is in the Jewish faith.
Yeah.
Clever solution.
I would pause for a moment and would like to take this moment to apologize to Allah for, desecrating my body, but it's fine. That's that's a sin lot lower on the list. There's a lot more to contend with.
Yeah,
So
you've got other priorities right now, mate.
yeah,
Up there. Get to fucking work.
yes,
Stop looking at Furquan while he's getting tattooed. Go check out what's happening in the Middle East. Sort that shit out. Lazy fucker.
yes.
We're going to get struck by lightning in a moment. By some random god that thinks we're being too blasphemic. So I once had my first believing Muslim client, like truly faithful. Was this amazing guy in Denmark who, he clearly treats his body as a divine canvas. But he went into his tattoo journey with the idea that getting my work on it would be to improve the canvas that he had been given by Allah, and he would be proud on the day that he died to hand it back with these new ornaments on it. I like that idea.
Me too.
It's a challenge because again, there's plenty of bad tattoos out there, so there's a risk that you hand it back and then Allah's like scrolling through all your tattoos going, this one's a bit shit, isn't it, mate? Do you think you made a bad choice with this one? And then maybe you won't get into heaven. I don't know I don't know the details of how that works, but
I mean, we all know.
they have too much time on their hands, those gods.
Yeah, I mean, religious always always a loophole if you're willing to put in effort to find one. Um, from indulgences back in the days for Christian to like canvas being updated in Islam. Um, I you do raise a good point about finding the right tattoo artist. I mean, there's a reason that I waited 8 years or followed different tattoo artists for a while and then gravitated towards your work because it takes time to develop a sense of what a good tattoo is. It takes time to find someone whom you can gel with as an artist and as a canvas. So don't rush into your journey. Take your time, understand what you like, understand what kind of tattoo artist would you like to be with. And that really does help. Otherwise, it's not gonna be fun.
Oh fuck no! Getting tattooed by someone who turns out to be a horrible human being. Imagine how grueling it would be if you commit to a sleeve and then the person turns out to be a right ass hat. You were lucky. You traveled well. Okay, so you live in the States. You live in San Francisco area. We can reveal that. Which, by the way, I'm very flattered that you come to me to get tattooed because you are surrounded by some of the world's best ornamental tattoo artists. So, pretty fucking cool. Thank you. This is not your first rodeo with me either. Been doing this for some years. 5 years.
2019 was the first time I came.
To Somerset.
That to Somerset, yes.
Yes.
Yes. 2019 is when I started, got the back done, lived through COVID with half of my shoulder done with dotted lines all over.
Ah, yes. Well, no one could look at you anyways because of
Yeah, but
COVID.
I could look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, when would I get this done? It wasn't fun for a while, but then I just accepted it and it was good. Um, yeah, it's been 5 years coming multiple times. And I mean, that's a mark of, respect and how amazing your work is that I'm happy to come over here because, again, there are multiple artists and they will tell you the story you want to hear, you know, or they will be extremely rude and will not even consider you. Um, but that's not the point. The point is to find the person you're gonna enjoy working with, and then stick with them. And that's how I thought about this. And I mean, we were talking about your process of picking the right ink. before before the camera started rolling. And that's one of those things. Like, how many inks did you pick up for your red?
Okay, I don't remember the exact number. I've also done it twice, I should mention, because I used to use a different red. That when I picked that one up, it was good for most clients, but on some clients when it healed up, it had a little bit too much magenta in it. So when I went into the second time round, and I found this red that I'm using, I got near to 30 bottles of different dark reds, rusty reds and such. And then I went through them, had a look at them, poured some on paper, all these things, like looked at how they crystallized, looked at how they dried up, how the ink turned out color-wise when it was actually cured. And then once I'd figured out which ones I actually liked the color of, then I sent them to a lab in Sweden that tested a fucking lot of them. Spent a small fortune on that because there's so many inks out there that are just full of shit. Like horrible chemicals and stuff like that. Even approved inks. That doesn't mean that they're good. Just because an agency or a government body has approved something, that doesn't mean that it's the good stuff. So I paid for the tests and basically narrowed it down to this one that I've been diligently using for the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, which is a lovely color. It heals up really well on everyone. I've had very, very little in the ways of allergic reactions. I think I've had 2 people react, not badly, just raised skin and irritation that are simply solved by tattooing over the skin again with distilled water, which is it's a dirty trick to anyone out there. If ever you have a client that has an allergic reaction to the ink with like swelling and irritation, you can always take a mag needle and some distilled water and just shade over it. It basically reactivates the whole healing process. It makes the body kick out a bunch of the excess pigment that's in it. And I mean, I've had a couple of clients that have had allergic reactions to the inks, but I've also dealt with a lot of other clients from other tattoo artists who's had allergic reactions to inks. They've come to me and asked for advice, and I've simply fixed their shit problem by going through that process. It fucking works. So I'll do a video about it if you guys want. You can comment below if that's something that you would encourage me to make a video on, and we shall do it.
Yep. And
But yeah, okay, so about 30 inks, narrowed it down to 1. Because why not? Why not? When the information is there, when the knowledge is there. I know that you're very fond of Japan. And one of my favorite things about Japan is craftsmanship. I love their dedication to craftsmanship. I love the willingness to, like, just on a whole insane level, nerding out on things to make sure that you get everything just right.
yeah.
It's really admirable. And I remember watching this Netflix documentary called Jiro Dreams of Sushi, which is about a man named Jiro who has a sushi restaurant in Tokyo. And it's the only, at the time, it was the only sushi restaurant with 3 Michelin stars. How the fuck do you get 3 Michelin stars for raw fish, right? That's a lot. So I got curious and I had to watch this whole thing. And Jiro is a fanatic. He strongly believes that you can, within anything that you work with, you can always improve maybe 0.5%, maybe a whole percentage on one aspect. But it all adds up. And if you keep doing this over the years, you will create something that is worthy of the gods. Like really, in his case, divine food. I try to create tattoos that are just, it doesn't even have to be worthy of the gods, as long as it's worthy of my clients and the dedication that they show me, like the gift of their skin as a canvas. If I can honor that with my work, then I am very, very happy. And so every day when I'm working, I'm always considering what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how am I doing it. There's aspects that, of course, come into play. Like clients have budgets, so while I could sit and fiddled with details that are the finest on the fucking planet. No one else can ever see it. Like, I have to suspend with those urges of mine to work my eyes and brain to death on the unseen details. It has to be There has to be some level of realism, of course, but within the levels of realism, there are so many things that you can improve upon. Like in my case, for example, my choice of tattoo machine, my choice of ink, my decision to go backwards and use steel grips and steel tubes for my tattoo work, simply because it creates a steadier machine, it creates a steadier dot work, it creates steadier lines. Like, it's all tiny, tiny improvements, and on their own they do nothing, but put together they do everything. I've got a good reputation for making really, really sturdy work, really, really clean lines, really, really clean dot work, and that is the product of nerding out fanatically on my
Every
trade.
detail. Yeah, that's one of the trait of any good, or one of the finest people in any profession that you will meet. They obsess about little details. They make sure that their end product is of the finest quality, and that's how the reputations are built. That's how you push the boundary or the profession forward. Without that, you get bad tattoos of heart with a arrow through it, which will fade in like 2 years.
Okay, we were talking about Japanese craftsmanship and good tattoos. Speaking of which, Japanese tattoos have traditionally always been like remarkably better than the Western world tattoos until, well, recently, when I feel like quality is caught up.
It does. I would point out the Koreans are doing a lot of good work as well.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff.
Fun trivia: tattooing in Korea, South Korea, I should say, is illegal.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I know this. Because one of my mates is from there.
And
And he
still,
told me.
yeah, but there's
And
like,
still it's flourishing.
it is flourishing. There's like some really brilliant artists out there. I just can't believe that they still have it illegal.
Stop moving your hand or I'll cut your arm off.
I'm sorry. Another note for anyone who is inspired to take a tattoo: don't move your hands. Be still. Otherwise, the tattoo artist yells at you for some reason.
The tattoo man.
The tattoo man is very strict about these things.
I am quite fucking strict. At least I've not taped you down yet. You've avoided that so far.
Have you strapped someone into a chair because they were moving too much, or they were?
Well, I've taped one client to the chair, and I've taped a client's arms down
So like,
while he was standing up, being drawn on. Ben can't, like, for some reason he had a day where his arms just wouldn't stop moving. So I taped his arms down while I was drawing on him, and then the other client is a guy named Mads, who is movie and comic book enthusiast from Denmark, that I've done this really cool Hellboy sleeve on, and now I'm doing a Nordic sleeve on him. Absolutely lovely guy. But he gets really enthusiastic about things and finds it very difficult to stop moving. So at some point I had enough. I left the room because I nearly fucked up my work 5 times in a row. Left the room, came back with a roll of duct tape and solved the problem by taping him to the chair.
yeah, my hack for not moving is that the hand which is free, you just hold your phone in it. It keeps you occupied, and you're still. But I can't hold my phone in my hand because apparently I'm being taped.
I mean, it's all right. You could just like twist your nipple really hard with the other hand.
Yes, that's really gonna put me in a mood, right?
On tape. It's not going to be weird at all.
Please, again, viewer discretion advised. If you're gonna twist your nipple, do test it at home, because people react in different ways to twisting nipples. Just saying out loud. So do us all a favor. That's all I'm saying.
My
Now,
brain automatically went into a, do we live in a world where people have not had their nipples twisted ever and they should test this out at home? Is that a thing?
I cannot speak for 8 billion people, so I am just, broadening,
Generalizing.
generalizing it.
Broadly generalizing. Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah,
I have a theory that amongst my viewership there might be a surprising amount that has tried it out.
oh, well, I live in San Francisco, and if you guys don't know about San Francisco that well, look up Folsom Street Fair. Again, very non-safe for work. Do not try to open it in a browser that you do not want to share with someone. But yeah, San Francisco is very well known for
Nipple twisting.
nipple twisting, nipple clamping, you know, you name it, we got it. Free advertisement for San Francisco.
Selling it very well.
I'm trying. That's another thing. So you do not travel long distances anymore. Why?
Who, what, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's start this conversation somewhere else. What was the first thing that happened when you got here yesterday? We spent an hour and a half bickering at each other trying to get the other person to move to the other one's country
That's very true.
because of convenience.
It's not convenience. I honestly believe that California is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. I believe that there's a very good balance of interest, curiosity, and leave me alone, I want to live my life kind of attitude, and it's a good blend to be have. Um, so I want good people there. I want people who are amazing to be there. That's all.
It's
And
very flattering.
oh, I was talking about your family. You're not that amazing, man. You're stabbing me right now.
Flattered on behalf of my family.
Okay.
I know I have an amazing family.
Yes. And I mean, you're stabbing me, so you can't be that amazing, man. But yeah,
I mean,
that's
you're paying me to be stabbed by me, so...
that's very true. So yeah, I mean, I feel that California as a general is an excellent place to be, to raise your children who have curiosity, who who goes on to do really good things. Yes, it's expensive. I know. Don't tell me, or you can tell me in the comments how expensive it is. But yeah, that's my position, and I'm sticking to that. So
Fair
now,
enough. So the reason I don't travel anymore is because I'm lazy. No, I've got kids and I've got a life here, and I've got this thing being an autistic weird snail. I really like my own space. I've worked really hard to create this world around me where I'm just me. Like, I'm safe in my bubble. I know where everything is. I know that everything happens the way that I want it to happen. And that's really good. It makes me work better, makes me more creative, and makes me not have panic attacks at random moments. So the idea of doing a guest spot, for example, now in another country fills me with dread. The idea of having to go and ask people, where the fuck do you keep this? Or why do you not have this? Or how do you handle it when clients are late? And all these things. Like I want to be in my own weird universe because I've built my universe to function around all of my peculiarities. And it has cost me blood, sweat, and tears to get to this point, so I don't see a reason to abandon it.
I hear
And
your
I should
point.
mention that when I have been traveling in the past, I got to spend very, very little time actually seeing the countryside around it, around wherever I went to, because I just don't have time when I'm traveling and I'm tattooing while traveling. It all just becomes absorbed in highly dedicated tattooing. And there's not really a way around that either, because if I'm not tattooing, then I'm not paying the bills, am I? And my bills when traveling are also much higher. And the idea of traveling and having the costs of those travels covered as well, yeah, it's a tricky one, because then my clients would have to pay for my flight. the days that I lose to jet lag, and my hotel or Airbnb and all that, like, it would mean that my day rate would fucking go up. And while I know that I can charge more when I'm in the States, I don't feel completely okay with it. Like, it doesn't feel fair that people have to pay such rate. I'm already an expensive artist, so I kind of dodge out of that, the whole idea of, yeah, really any aspect of it. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not.
That makes sense. Note to self: when I become the emperor of this planet, I'll try to fix this problem for you. You know,
Well, you'll become the emperor of this planet by inventing teleportation.
we'll work on that. Don't worry.
You,
I'll get my best people to come up with a better plan.
cool. You could rule if you did that. I'm pretty sure that would give you a lot of credibility.
Oh, yeah. Um,
It's better than Elon Musking it by pretending to care about the planet to sell electrical cars that are in fact part of ruining the planet.
yeah. Uh, it's yeah. I'm not gonna touch this one. No, I need to go back. So I don't want to get into trouble with people.
That's fair. That's okay. Oh, okay. What are we tattooing? Why are you getting what you're getting tattooed? Let's talk about that.
I mean, this is a story of evolution. I mean, if you remember when I came here 5, 6 years ago, I had a very completely different idea of like what I would like to do. So we started on different idea. We did, and with every visit, the thought evolved, the understanding of what a tattoo should be, what I like, what I don't like evolved, and there's then inspirations as well. Now, after 5 years of getting tattooed, I understand many things that I did not understand when I started. And with that, the design evolved as well.
Yeah, I remember that the first time I was tattooing you gave me directions and were quite clear about your visions. And this time I've more had to like wrestle things out of you to be like, what do you fucking want?
That's true. I gotta be completely honest. Like I feel like I am comfortable deferring the decisions to you now that I know you well. I know what kind of designs would you make. I don't feel like I have to explain everything because I know that you will come up with something great, and that's why I do not have a strong opinion on anything that I would like to have done. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a mark of my trust in you that I do not really feel like that I have to, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant way of getting tattooed, to be honest. Like figuring out an artist and figuring out, some direction and then just trusting. It just creates better
Yeah,
tattoos. So I think what you're doing is the right thing.
yeah,
You also know that you can veto it. Like if I come up with an idea that you don't actually like, then you can go, "Oh, I don't like that," and you know what? I'm not going to get upset about that because I'm, I, my art is not just me painting a canvas. My canvas is alive. I know it's a pact between humans to create this work, and it's really important to respect that.
yeah, and yeah, like this is why I feel a lot more comfortable now sharing ideas at a very high level because again I know exactly that what you will come up with is something I would love, and that feeling has made me a lot more indecisive. So I'm sorry about that. Viewers, please do understand that there was a time where I wanted to have a unicorn jumping over a rainbow on my butt cheek, but he talked me out of that. So there's
That's not
that too.
true. I never would have talked you out of that.
So you would do it?
Fuck yes.
All right. I mean, we should discuss this off the camera.
Do you want it in like Nordic knotwork style or?
Yes, that's something that we have to discuss. Yeah.
I'd fucking do it. So yeah, okay.
What's your dream project? I mean, do you have certain projects that you're like, I would love to have a canvas for these things, or these are the thing. Let me put it another way. What are the dream challenges that you're like, I would love to work on this. I haven't gotten around to doing so.
That's a really good question. Okay, so first of all, my head is always full of projects. So my brain keeps drawing. Whenever it sees a blank surface, it's drawing. So when I'm talking to someone who doesn't have tattoos on an area, my brain has drawn them. After like 10 minutes of conversations, there's 10 different designs already in my head to what I could put on that area. And I don't try to memorize these. I see them as like mental exercises. So over the years, there's been hundreds of things that I was like, oh, I would love to tattoo this. It's not happening. And a lot of them are like canvas specific, client specific things. Even to people that's never going to get tattooed by me, just people I've been talking to. There's certain people that would be amazing to do tattoos on. And I think a really fucking great challenge would be tattooing someone where the world has expectations, because that makes it difficult. Like we've talked about him before, David Beckham. Like he has horrible tattoos. The challenge of fixing his tattoos, that would be fucking fun. Like giving him sleeves that befit someone of his talent. I'm not into football, but fuck it. I mean, he does have skills, right? Something that's befit someone of that talent, but also who has the fucking money to have nicer tattoos than he does have.
So why didn't he get better tattoos?
Fuck knows. He didn't answer my last call when I tried to ask him that question. I don't know.
You know he lives in California now, so if you would have been there, you could have just walked over.
Well, you go over and knock on his door and find out for me.
All right, I will. I'll take a trip down to LA then.
I don't know why famous people get shit tattoos. It's really puzzling to me. Like if you have that kind of funds in your life, why would you not just hire the very best artists to get the very best work? And it's a strange place where I think tattooing has sort of failed. As a community, we're not very good at educating the masses in the terms of quality tattoos. People still think that you can walk into any shop. I mean, I see it. I see people who will send me pictures of my tattoos copied by someone else, because they think that they can just walk into any tattoo shop and get a great tattoo with the same quality of work.
Really?
And they're like, hey, look at this I got done. It's like, that's rubbish. Can you not see that what you had done is rubbish? No, it's almost like you did it. No, it isn't. But they think it is. They can't see the difference. It's fucking terrifying.
So now that we're talking about educating people, what's your position on these reality show with tattoo artists? Because I saw a few of them and I was like, I will not let any one of these guys touch me with their tattoos. But then again, like they were not my style, so maybe that's the reason. But
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of artists on those shows that have been good artists. Miami Ink had Chris Garver on it. Chris Garver is a fucking genius. Like, absolutely amazing craftsman and artisan. He does beautiful things. It's not my style. Keep fucking this up. His work is not my style, but his work is definitely worthy of the human canvas, no doubt about that. So, There is good ones amongst them. I don't even think, like the host of that show, Army James, he does some really cool Japanese tattoos that are worthy of the human canvas. But there's also a fuckload of artists on those shows that are just, they shouldn't be tattooing. They're actually quite rubbish, and they tattoo because they're famous and they had the right connections or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. And on the subject of those tattoo shows as a whole, I can't really be that mad at them because they helped fuel my career. Because when I started tattooing, it was right on that cusp where tattooing was exiting the dark world and becoming a much more mainstream thing. All of a sudden, anyone could get tattoos. And it wasn't something that the bikers were only getting, or criminals, or sailors. It was for everyone all of a sudden. So, the game changed, and it opened a lot of doors. It opened up a lot of doors for me, and it meant that the market was not saturated with tattoo artists all of a sudden. There was space for someone weird who was into the idea of doing Viking tattoos on people. And it allowed for me to flourish as an artist. It gave me canvases to work on.
Which makes sense.
So I appreciate those programs, and I think that they've done a hell of a lot to break down a lot of walls when it comes to taboos of tattooing, of tattoos. I also think that they've fucked up a lot of things. Like, I still get people who think that I can do a back piece on them in a day because they've seen that on one of these tattoo shows. Someone comes in and they get a whole back piece knocked out in one day, and that's not actually how it works. That's the trick of the camera. Like, they've been told to come back for another session or 3 other sessions wearing the same clothes, makeup and jewelry as they did on the first one. Like, it's very common. Even if it's a smaller tattoo, that might have been how they filmed it, simply because when you're filming things, there's all sorts of factors that might come in: time, budget, and chaos. So a small tattoo might have been something that's been stretched over 2 filming sessions, with like a month apart, simply because it was necessary. And this isn't easy for the normal eye to see on TV, but if you know about it, or if you've been in a tattoo studio where it was filmed, like I've tried, you will discover how ridiculous this whole setup is. It's all like any other reality show. It's not reality.
Scripted.
A lot of it. A lot of the drama is scripted bullshit. Like, tattoo artists are all insular, nerdy people. There's not that kind of fighting and drama in most tattoo studios. Sure, some studios have it. I mean, some of the places I've worked in the States had some really weird people and really weird drama. But most artists, we're just nerds. We stick to ourselves. We hide in our big hoodies, drink our coffee, and do our job. We don't want to be like shouting about, "Oh, you stole my ink, motherfucker!" Like, that's not part of everyday life in a tattoo studio, with exceptions. I mean, I've met tattoo artists who are really loud motherfuckers and unbearable to be working around simply because they think the world needs to bend down to them. They're narcissistic drug heads.
What's your ideal client? Someone who's like quiet, just lie there and not move, give all the creative control over blah blah blah. I'm just saying things.
Stop that arm.
Someone who definitely does not move his arm.
My favorite client is someone that doesn't move their arm.
Just a corpse.
Oh God, no. It's a mix. My client is someone that understands both the process, like they accept that I need space to be creative, but they also have an idea, like some direction. Like yourself, you've given me some direction, but you've not been dictating that things had to be in a specific way. I like that. It is someone that accepts that sometimes I need quiet, peace while I'm working, and like that it's all right for me to go, you know what, I need my headphones on for the next hour because I've been overloaded, and I need to focus on this. So let's just chill out and be quiet, and can be quiet, but also have weird fucking conversations about weird fucking subjects, or listen to a podcast for 7 hours straight because that's what we felt like doing that day. People that understand that it's all right to put their own headphones on when they need it. And I really like when people feel at home in my studio, that they feel like it's permitted for them to say, oh, I need a toilet break. Because I've had clients who are like, I've been holding it in for 2 hours. Well, if I didn't just tell me. There's nothing wrong with stopping the machine and have a pee break. It's all right. I also like a free canvas. Like someone who's like, oh, it doesn't have to just stick to my arm. You can go expand it onto my chest or whatever the fuck. Like nothing's sacred and off limits.
That's how we started as well for the back. I wanted like just the upper back, and you're like, nope, that will be a bad idea. Let's do the whole thing.
We haven't done the whole thing.
We haven't done the whole thing. We still have some space left, which we need to do. But that's from a client's perspective. Like this is something that I would recommend to anyone who is starting on the journey. That listen to your artist. They have played with proportions a lot longer than you. They have been working on things a lot longer than you. You may have a great idea, or you know exactly what you want, but it may not look that amazing once it's been translated onto the skin. So it's if you trust your artist, if you believe and have confidence in him or her, you should definitely let them decide the proportions, let them decide some creative choices, because they know what they're doing. There's a reason you came to them and to not someone else.
There should be a reason why you came to them. And that's really, I find it to be so important. Like, I'm not saying don't give a chance to, small-time artists who aren't famous, because fame isn't at all everything. There's often a correlation between how famous people are as tattoo artists and their skill levels, right? But some people are just famous because they're good at social media and shit like that. But overall, try to find someone that you can see does quality work, that come highly recommended for their quality work, and trust them to do their job. They will be a little bit more expensive, but tattoos are for fucking life. And that's not to be like a gatekeeping asshole that's saying that if your mate's a tattoo artist, you shouldn't get tattooed by him just because they might not be as good as the next one over. It's all right. Give people chances and everything. If that's what you want, just remember, tattoos are for life, and experience gives skills, and those skills are what makes your tattoos stand out.
So here's a question. Would you recommend starting with a smaller piece when you're starting with a new artist?
No. No, I would recommend that you start with whatever piece you want them to do. It's that simple, really. It's a hard one. Like, I don't really do many smaller projects. I've been doing some smaller projects recently, but it's not common that I do small shit. I like doing big things. And it's what I'm really good at. I'm good at working with the whole body, making dynamic tattoos and all that.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm just trying to channel a new client who likes the work but does not know you well enough, or the artist that they prefer. So how do you build that confidence or that relationship where,
Build the trust.
yeah, how do you build the trust? Because like you mentioned, when the first time I came, I had precise instructions because I was afraid. I did not know.
Were you petrified?
Yes, but I will survive. Let's put it this way. But then after the first time, that was a 4 day session. I felt more and more confident and just let the rain go. But It took 4 days. Those 4 days could have been completely different if we wouldn't have gelled together. So, how do you develop trust?
Okay, so one of the ways I do it now is my social media. I try.
Please subscribe and like. Thank you.
Um, I try to use my social media to make people understand who I am, how I work, what it is exactly that I do, my entire process, and all these things, simply because it's much easier for people to understand when it's on camera than when it's on text. Like over the years, it's become easier simply because I'm so much out there on YouTube and TikTok and all these things. I'm present on all of these social medias that it really helps a lot. People can see that I'm genuine and I'm there, right? Then I also have my booking documents, which are extensive beasts of many pages that explains everything I can explain about my process. And I think that helps too because it makes people understand, like, okay, so this is what's going to happen. This is how this whole circus is going to go down. He's not just going to wing it. He actually always has a plan. That's comforting. And my booking document is also a please go away document. Like I use it to avoid time wasters. People who have a million questions but aren't actually going to commit to getting tattooed because it might be too expensive or it might just be the wrong artist, all these things. It really helps filter that out. So yeah, I've got this extensive system to filter and to refine as well. Refine my clientele so that everyone that actually books with me, they know what the fuck is going on. They know what they're going to be paying. They know what they're going to be going through. They know how my studio works. They know where it is. All the logistic circus. I make sure that that's all shared and informed because it makes them feel safe. Now the safest way, of course, is like the old timer kind of tattoo studios where you can walk in and talk to the artist before booking and all that. But it's a bit of a dying breed, and that comes down to economy, really. Like I don't have time to meet my clients because they're on the other side of the planet. I don't have time to do FaceTime calls with them because it would take me hours of work that I don't have time that I can allocate to that. And most tattoo shop artists who are in normal tattoo shops, they don't have the time to meet their clients because they're busy tattooing because they need to pay their bills. Our expenses have gone up as well, like everyone else's has. And most normal street shop artists, they haven't raised their prices much to cover their fucking expenses. So they're working their asses off to cover expenses. So you can't really expect them to take their time out to go over and look at your tattoo idea and evaluate all of that. There's usually a shop manager or an assistant or an apprentice dealing with all of that, booking you in and finding your time and of the day to get tattooed, all of that shit. Because yeah, economy, time is money.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, you should find an artist that you dare to trust. Personal recommendations is, of course, very, very helpful. One of my first and foremost best tricks for people is to go through the person's portfolio. Like go through their Instagram and look at all of their work, not just one piece, all of their work, and make sure that you like 90% of what they do. Because if you only like one piece or two pieces out of their 50 pieces that are online, that might not be the right artist. They might just have made something different for a friend. It might have been a fluke that they did something that you really liked. You can't really tell. It's hard to predict.
So how would you cater for current timeline where AI is making tattoos pop up more, or people have been using Photoshop to make their tattoos look great. Pretty much for, I don't know, since I've been following tattoo artists.
Well,
I'm a good interviewer, right?
You can fake anything. Like any ad of, let's say, a burger from a fast food chain. it's been faked. It's been photoshopped. Most of the stuff on the video isn't even the actual food. It's fake products. It's silicones, plastics, and stuff like that. They've created a burger that looks like their burger for the filming. It's nasty, but that's what it is. And tattoo artists will do the same. They're out there. There's people who are dishonest enough to go down that path. The problem about it is when you then have to prove your skills to the client. Because, if you walk into a fast food chain and you buy that burger that you saw on a TV ad, you'll get the flavor. Like if it's a company that can afford a TV ad, they can probably afford making the right flavor of whatever burger they're selling. They're mass producing and all that. But if you're a craftsman and you're faking what you're doing, you'll be called out on it. You'll be exposed quick enough.
But as a client, like from a perspective of the client, isn't it a bit too late? Because if I'm in the chair and you have started to work on me, even if it's like few lines, that's
Then
like
yeah, that's too late.
yeah.
And you're fucked.
And I
That
mean,
being said, there's nothing that can't be fixed by someone else. But if you've been duped by someone that claimed that they could do something, and by God, there's plenty of tattoo artists out there that will take the work of others and post it and pretend that it's their own. I've seen people post my tattoos on their stories and not mention anything about the fact that I made it. And when I call them out on it, they're like, "Oh, I'm just sharing it because it's really cool." Well, if you're sharing it, maybe you should have tagged me in it so it was obvious that it's my work and not your work, Oh, I didn't think about that. Hey, you did think about that. I'm pretty fucking sure that you had a plan when you set out on this weird path. But you can't do much about that except learning to do a reverse Google image search. In case anyone out there doesn't know, you can save a photo on your laptop or on your phone, and then you can go and put that image into Google search and ask it to search for that image, and it'll find the original source of it for you. It's incredibly practical. And it'll do that by image recognition, pixel data as well, I believe. So you can find out who the fuck did the tattoo in the first place. And that also goes like, if you see anyone's work on Pinterest or whatnot, and you can't find the artist, you can punch that into Google, and you can track it down. You can track the right artist down so that you can get their work done on you. You don't just have to take their work and go to someone else to have a copy of it made. You can have original shit done. You just need to find the person. And sure, that might take you 10 minutes of search bar nerdery, but in all honesty, that's okay. It's worth it.
so how do you define a good tattoo that will last long? Because if you remember, we had this conversation a while back that how fine lines are not for life,
Yeah.
But fine lines looks beautiful at you.
I mean,
So
fine lines are for life. They just don't remain fine lines. The line will stay there, but it'll blur.
yeah. So how do you decide what components can you educate people on that look for these kind of components, because that will make your tattoo look fresh, nice for as longer time than many other designs or styles that are out there.
Okay, so personally, I'm never, with my own work on me, I never aim for something that'll look fresh and clean forever, because I'm very happy about the aging of my tattoos. I like that they go a little bit grey and they will wonk with age, and that's all good. Because inevitably, as the canvas ages, the tattoos will age with them. There's no way around it. So having that mindset, I think, is really important. If you're marring the skin, marking and decorating the skin of something that will grow older, then expect your tattoo to grow older with it. But you can do stuff to make it last longer, stay sharp longer, and be beautiful longer. So trick number one is look at healed photos of tattoos on an artist's page. If they don't display any healed work, that's to me a little bit of a warning sign. Um, it is difficult though, because there's a lot of tattoo artists out there where, we finish a tattoo, client walks out, we never see them again. So getting them to have professional photos made wherever they are and send them to you, that's a tricky task. So it's fair that some artists might not have healed photos, but that also means that they usually don't have returning clients. Because if you're good at what you do, your clients will come back and have more tattoos done by you, yeah? And then you can take photos of their healed tattoos. So it can be a bit of a warning sign if there's no healed tattoos on their page. Trick number 2, choose designs that require proper line work and quite bold, strong shading and coloring. Like if you're having a tattoo that's full of very fine details, lots of really soft shading, you're duping yourself if you think that's going to last forever. Fine shading, really soft shading, it's going to blur out all the contours and all the contrasts. It's going to disappear over time. It's fine, you'll have it for 5 years, it'll look lovely for that time, maybe 10 if you have got really good skin. That's all good, but it will change with age, so keep that in mind. Good hard lines are to me the cornerstone of a good long-lasting tattoo. Like some of the tattoos that lasted the best is all tribal stuff, either Polynesian tribal or neo-tribal. Strong lines, black filler, that's it. Thank you very much. Clean and simple. I'm a big proponent of dot work as well, because the way that you put ink into the skin when you're lining is you're basically making a little engraving with a lot of needles, and the ink goes into that skin that you're engraving, and there it is encapsulated by your own body. Your body isolates all the ink particles, not all the ink particles, but a lot of the ink particles are isolated within the textures of the skin, the layers of the skin, and scar tissue is basically formed around what you've done. And that makes the line work stand and stay, and we like that. And dot work works the same way. One good clean dot will be isolated and it'll stay. It's very rare that it's going to start spreading and become faded. But the problem about the fine line tattoos that you mentioned is that they are typically they're actually not enough damage to the skin. I know this sounds silly, but if you're working with a very thin liner, the laceration that you're doing isn't going to create enough scar tissue to isolate the ink very well. So a lot of these fine line tattoos, they will just be washed out of your skin, worn out of your skin within some years. Or the line work will simply just start to blur out and fade. More ink protects more ink. It's a difficult explanation, but it is sort of what I mean. To make sure that there's enough line and enough black, it'll stay.
Makes sense.
If it's flimsy, then it has less chance of survival. And lots of like thin lines next to each other, that's not, it has a very, very slim chance of surviving.
Here is a question.
I'm supposed to be the one interviewing you, but you got good questions, so let's just roll with this.
Yeah. Inspirations.
Yes.
How do you advise people to have a larger canvas of inspiration? Because again, people come to tattoo artists with a picture in their hand, or with a preconceived idea of what they need to see, and usually it's like influenced by whatever they have around, right? So how do you advise clients to have inspirations, and also how do you inspire yourself to come up with better ideas?
Oh, okay. The two quite extensive questions, really. Let's see. The first one. I always advise people to try and boil it down to 5 to 10 keywords and 5 to 10 images. Because more than that, and it very, very quickly begins to have a lot of overlap and different styles in there. And if you can nail it down to that, like 5, 10, 5, 10, that means you have a clear idea. You've got direction. You've got a good vision of where the fuck you want to go. That should be something you can obtain with that amount. And to obtain ideas, just keep searching. It is one of those things that social media is actually really good for. Like tattoo perusing on Instagram is very easily accessible. It's fun because you'll find lots of dumb shit and then some really good shit. Pinterest is also really good. But I'm also a big fan of books. I love my book collection. And Your Sleeve is a good example. The whole thing is inspired by William Morris. To them of you who don't know William Morris, Google the fucker. He was brilliant. His foreign language, his understanding of creating floral life, any life really, on something as static as wallpaper, highly admirable. Really, really not an easy art form, even though a lot of people think that it's easy to just make that happen. Giving it the kind of life that he did, that's not a walk in the park. And finding an artist like that as your source of inspiration, I think is a really, really good path. Like, narrow it down to someone that can create iconic artwork. And then you've got something to work with. Or find an iconic art form, like Tibetan ornamental art. All right, that's fairly straightforward. Nordic knotwork. All right, cool. We know where we're going. Art Nouveau, specifically Alphonse Mucha. All right, we've got something that's quite clear. You can't really fuck that up. I mean, you can fuck it up by being a bad artist, but you have a clear direction. You know where the hell you're going with it, right? And having those directions that's really good and really healthy. And I find inspiration in the same way. I will buy books, and I will inhale these books. And if you, as a tattoo shopper, can find a book with what you want, it will give you something that's much more clear than the images of the internet. There's something tactile about books, paper. Like it's healthier. It has more feeling to it.
So your tomes that you're creating, do you think that they're kind of a guide for inspirations?
I mean, I'm really hoping that my books function in that way. I hope that especially my tome, I hope that it is placed on coffee tables and bookshelves around the world in tattoo shops, just waiting for people to open them up and inspire them to go, fuck, this is the kind of stuff that I want. And from there, it'll become tattoos or inspirations for tattoos. That is what they're for, and I hope that is what's happening. Because, again, I don't have time to tattoo everyone. So I hope that I can make sure that more people get good Nordic tattoos. Now, I enjoy working in many, many different art styles. Anything that's ornamental, really, and I'm fucking hooked on it. But I do believe that if you, as a client, get yourself engrossed in what it is that you want, that helps. That helps a lot. Just don't be too locked in. Like, once you have an idea, sometimes you got to kill your darling. Like, you have a couple of good ideas, you have a great direction, but something in the ideas are obstructing what you want to do. Don't be afraid to cut that out.
And listen to your artist again. Like I mentioned, they have played with these ideas a lot longer than you have.
Yep.
They understand proportions. They understand what will look better at skin, the shading, the colors. Like, if you notice, like, I have a lot of color, but I will not like, and that is after a lot of consultation, a lot of back and forth between me and Peter. So having that kind of conversations will save you from a lot of disappointment later on your journey.
Agreed. Fully agreed. Yeah, that's back to the whole, like, trust. Trust the process, trust the artist.
And if you can't, don't start.
Yeah, tattoos aren't for everyone, and you don't have to get tattoos. You can have art on your fucking walls. It's okay. You can wear colorful clothes or whatever. Like, I know that tattooing's become very, very mainstream, but that doesn't mean that it's everyone's must. Like, everyone has to have a fucking tattoo. No, not everyone.
So you talked about like how you like big pieces. In fact, majority of the tattoo artists that I know and that I've talked to in social settings or whichever way, they like big pieces.
You talk to other tattoo artists?
I do. I
Are
am
you
sorry.
cheating on me?
I am sorry I'm cheating on you, but I mean, I didn't know that we are exclusive, you know. You see other clients. Do you see me complaining about that? I
Yeah,
mean, if I'm opening my heart to you, you should
I'm
be.
pretty sure I can actually open my emails and find you complaining somewhat that I have other clients to tattoo because you wanted to get booked in. So don't you go there.
Okay, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I'm. What can I say? I mean, I just have eyes for
Is
you,
this
and I
is
feel
this a
jealous.
monogamous tattoo relationship?
I,
What's going on?
I feel extremely jealous, like when you're talking about other clients or ignoring me for others. I mean, we just have to be used to this dynamic now. Um, yeah. Anyways, so if everyone wants to do big pieces, but there are a lot of people who wants to do small pieces as well,
Yeah.
because they just want to dip their toe. How would you? What advice do you have for them? Um, should they just walk into the local tattoo shop and just get a small piece, or
Fuck
they
that.
still should do all the research?
I think you should still do all the research because a good tattoo is a good tattoo. Even if it's not like a full body masterpiece or whatever the fuck, there's still a difference in quality. I do think that it's healthy to start small if you are in doubt. I have clients that their first tattoo is basically also their very last because it's a fucking bodysuit. Um, and that's fucking cool, but I don't expect everyone to be that way. But I don't have time set aside to do like a little thing on people. So, like if you want a little Nordic tattoo, then there's art books. If you want a little Art Nouveau tattoo or a little Lord of the Rings tattoo or whatever the fuck, there's art books, there's internet, there's images. So use that. Find someone who does really good craftsmanship work, like good tattoos. They know their shit. Anyone can pull that off. Anyone can take an image from one of my art books. If they know how to tattoo and do good line work, they can do a good tattoo out of that. There's no doubt about it. And that's good. That's a good way to start. I've always given the advice that if you're starting out small, then either start out small with something that you know that you really want, start out small with something that you can get covered later, or don't go small. Just go fucking large and have the right thing from the beginning.
Yes.
Those are basically your three options, plus the drop the idea of getting tattooed. If you're too much in doubt about it all, then just don't get tattooed.
Yes. No regrets.
No regrets.
If you don't know this reference, just just do an internet search of bad tattoos, no regret. You will find out. So talk about Adam. I've heard a really lot of like things about him. I mean, I've heard he's a lady killer. I've also heard that he's like extremely intelligent. But where is he?
Okay, let's talk about Adam. That's a fun subject. He'll be, he's cracking up over there, but also getting a little bit red in the face. So Adam he's officially my son-in-law. He's also officially my social media cameraman, editor, idea man when it comes to all the social media bullshit that we come up with. He runs our YouTube and does all sorts of octopus-like jobs in the company. And I'm going to spill some beans here. He started out when he worked for me the first time around being a useless, chaotic human being that was late for work almost every day.
Bearing in mind I lived 2 minutes away from it.
Yes, in my house.
So
So
he
how the
lived
fuck-
he lived 2 minutes away, and he was always late for the morning.
He lived 2 minutes away with his boss, and he got to work late. Like it was really impressive. That's how undiagnosed ADHD looks like, ladies and gentlemen.
So military is definitely out of the career path for him.
Yes, Also, giving him anything weaponized seems like a terrible
Idea.
idea. And then time went by, and now Adam is a fine, refined social media machine who knows his shit. He still shakes because he's got arthritis, but that's okay. I can live with that. And well, he's also upgraded himself on like a social level because he's managed to become the father of my grandchild. So, you know,
Congratulations, Mr.
That's-
Adam.
pretty powerful move to make. Climbing up the corporate ladder by breeding.
So, people, nepotism works. Get on it.
A few people have said, so how did you get your job working in social media? And sometimes I just can't be bothered to explain that I did actually work for this job, and I just say nepotism.
Yeah. Now, nepotism can open the door, but I mean, to walk through it, to maintain, it still needs effort.
When my job opened up, without going into too much detail, Isar wanted to hire someone else,
Mhm.
and I was like, just give me a chance to, pretty much, and then here we are.
Here we are, doing a great job.
Well, social media works, so yeah.
Yes. I mean, we should definitely put Adam, like, we should do like a Adam dance contest.
No.
He and people, he
Well,
says no. So
Adam
I'm
has-
sorry, you probably will never see Adam now. Just saying. And you are missing it, just so that we all agree on that.
I'll insert some nice photos.
Yes. Man is handsome. Man has taste. You'll like him. You'll like him. So yeah. So, what's next for you and Adam?
Oh,
Stuff we can't say on this video yet.
it's not entirely true. We can talk about a few things. We've got so many irons in the fire. It's ridiculous.
Like, talk about the larger vision of the future, right?
I wasn't gonna like narrow it down to.
Yeah.
We've got the next 6 months are gonna be fucking hectic. That's for sure. We've got so many things happening. We've already announced that we're gonna be at the York Christmas market, and we're gonna try to do as much social media while there as we can because York is amazing. It's full of history and both Viking and Roman, medieval, and all that. So we're going to use that, try to make as much content and fun out of it as we can. I'm going to run around and be bad Viking Santa again, because why not? I think we've kind of decided that we're going to put a lot of focus into making a little bit of like, people are asking for more long content like what we're filming right now. So we're going to be doing stuff like that. Besides that, we've got projects, but a lot of them are really secret, so I'm not going to talk about those.
So everyone watching this, please do know that this conversation started with the
Stop
basic.
moving your hand.
I'm sorry.
You better be.
Basic instruction of, hey, we are interviewing you, so you have to talk about you, and here we are because one of us is a lot more interesting than others. So this is how it goes.
Well, you fucking hijacked the conversation, didn't you? You're like,
I cannot be helped if you are the most interesting man on the planet,
fucking
and
am
that
not.
you have so many interest and ideas and
this
brilliance.
is bullshit because you are in turn one of the most interesting people I've ever been around. You know so much dumb shit.
In case.
What?
You just shut up in case.
No.
We would
That's-
love to do that, but YouTube seems to frown upon these things, so we'll do it afterwards. So, but
So-
thank you for your suggestion, Adam. We really appreciate that.
I'm sure my wife in the kitchen listening to this is really fond of your suggestions. So it's very rare that I meet someone that can match my level of nerdy, useless information.
Warhammer
you
was
can.
a surprise.
You
Warhammer
were
was.
surprised about the Warhammer part?
I did not know that you worked there.
That's weird.
It's-
I've talked about that before.
I forgot. I am getting old.
No, fair.
But no, it's great conversation. So it's amazing to be in a place where you cannot escape me. So this is really fun.
I'll give you an example. Furquan was here to get tattooed, and while he was here, he ended up ordering our speaker system and installing it because he didn't think that our sound system was good enough. I think that defines pretty well what level we're on here.
I would like to point out that the life has improved with those speakers around here.
It's true.
Just saying.
Until one speaker drops out and John becomes this raging fucking monster, fucking furious that he can't figure out why it's kicked off one speaker. It's entertaining and dangerous to everyone else.
I agree. I wish I was here to troubleshoot, but here we are. Life moves on. But yeah, I guess it's good to have people around that have experienced life in many different ways. That usually broaden your horizon, and that's something I would always advise to everyone. Find people who have seen the life in many different ways. You will be surprised what you can learn from them, and every conversation is a lot more interesting than sticking with the same. How is football?
Stop moving your hand.
I'm sorry.
It's
Yeah,
your tattoo that I'm gonna fuck up.
I'm sorry. But yeah, it's fun.
Have you ever watched Fraggle Rock?
I don't think I did.
It's like Muppet Show, but on acid. It's the
No.
same creators. It's like a bunch of weird creatures that live in an underground cave, and they eat buildings made by these creatures called dozers. And there's a living creature made out of a pile of trash called Madam Trash, I believe. Anyway, there's a character named Traveling Uncle Mac. Goes into the world amongst the humans and talks about them. That's basically you when you send me weird photos from all around the world when you're like in the mountains. And you're always assuring me like, don't worry, I'm not in an active war zone right now. I'm not going to be killed. It's very, very concerning.
That's
and on
true.
the note of the Muppet Show, we forgot to make that thing. Not the Muppet Show, the Fraggles. In the Fraggles, Fraggle Rock, there's a dog. And the dog looks just like the Dwarven King in the Rings of Power. Please put that in the fucking video. It's so weird. They're like twins. Got the same eyebrows too. Why are you peeking around the corner, smiling, little hobbit? Well, yeah, but
Let her enjoy the conversation. You should come and interview him. Exactly.
true.
It is. He can edit it out. So, you don't have to worry about that.
I do that.
It would be funny though.
Right. Now that we have an actual live audience, we should cut the conversation. Do you have any more that you want to talk about, or should we say goodnight to our viewers?
I think I'm done talking because I really need to put my phone in my hand. Otherwise, I will keep moving it, and you will keep yelling at me. And I think I've been yelled at enough today.
I think when you say you're done talking, you mean you're done with this particular conversation, because I think it's impossible to make you shut up.
That's true because now I'm thinking about like many different things we should talk about, but and not safe for work, people. Not safe for work. Part 2 maybe.
Okay, but don't forget, like, subscribe, comment below, especially the part about, I was talking about something about how to make allergic reactions and tattoos go away. If you actually want that video, let us know, and I shall consider gracing you with that bit of nerdy knowledge. Don't forget that you can also subscribe to our newsletter on northernblack.shop. You can also buy our super cool merch on northernblack.shop. There's t-shirts, including this one, Fuck Off Binder. I don't know where I'm looking. I look between the cameras. Doesn't make any sense. And yeah, that's it. Spend your hard-earned money. Go subscribe. Comment below. Fuck off. You're not a fucking Viking. That's it. Bye.
And just a bye from me.